Hello humans, it's just Martine and it's time to make a TBR game. Specifically this TBR game that's in the background that I've definitely already started working on. Basically, since I started booktube, I've wanted to create some type of TBR game, but my brain has failed me up until now and I haven't had any ideas. But I was like, listen, for the 12 TBRs of Christmas, I want to be premiering my own TBR game this year. So it has to happen. And I was working through ideas, hitting walls, it wasn't going well. And then the other day I had a stroke of genius. And so now I'm working on putting together this game. Originally, this game was going to be called Brooklyn Nine-Nine, like Brooklyn Nine-Nine, the TV show, but with books. But then I talked to my friend Bailey about it, who has not seen Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and she was like, as fun as the game that you're describing would still be, even knowing nothing about Brooklyn Nine-Nine, if people don't know about Brooklyn Nine-Nine, they will not click on your video. And I was like, that's totally fair and rad, cool. And so she was like, you can base it off of that, but I would steer away from the name, even though I personally still think it's a hilarious name. So I have started the process of putting together this TBR game that is currently called TBR Crime, but that's a work in progress. It might change. It was actually Bailey's suggestion. She wanted it to look like true crime, so TBR Crime. We're not sure that it does look like that, but it's our favorite option that we've come up with so far. And I want to walk you through my process so far. Basically, what already came fully formed into my head was the idea of a Candyland-esque style board, right? Where there are spaces in different colors mean different things. And I thought about some of the TBR games that are in that style that I've watched before. And one thing that I know would make the gameplay for me less fun as a creator is the fact that those boards never ever change. And I was thinking about games that are fun and different every time, and I immediately thought of Settlers of Catan, because when you're playing Catan, you have like pieces and you randomize the order in which they land on the board so that you're playing a different board every single time. So currently the idea is that I have this board. You start over here, you end on the case closed thing. You go through it like in this zigzag pattern, but instead of having colors already on it, I'll have little circles with different colors that represent different categories. I'll shuffle them before and lay them down in a random order so that the game board changes every time. Much like solving a case changes every time, because every case is different. Themes. So basically the point of the game is to solve a case. I've also worked out a couple of other ideas. For example, back when it was Brooklyn Nine-Nine, I thought about how much I love the different characters of Brooklyn Nine-Nine and how I didn't want to leave any of them out. And I thought, you know what makes some of the episodes really great of Brooklyn Nine-Nine is that Jake, arguably the lead of the show, right, solves cases with a different member of the squad every time. Like, he's mixing up who he's partnering with on different cases. And I thought that's really fun because different people have different strengths and weaknesses, and that contributes to the plots of the episodes, and that could contribute to the plot of my game. How it stands right now is that the lead detective, he doesn't have a name. Based on Jake Peralta, so we'll just call him Jake for right now, Jake is randomly paired with a different detective or detectives, depending on who I pull, for each game. And each detective has an advantage and a disadvantage to them. Terry in Brooklyn Nine-Nine is really strong. That's his thing. So his advantage could be heavy lifting. A book over 500 pages is worth double the points. Something like that. Also, back when it was Brooklyn Nine-Nine, I was thinking about some very traditional Brooklyn Nine-Nine things. For example, Jake's cool, no doubt. So I was thinking of that, and I was also thinking about how Jake always tries to do his job in the coolest way possible because he wants to pretend like he's living in an action movie. And so I thought of the idea of cool points, these arbitrary points that I could earn along the game, both by finishing prompts, but also depending on advantages and disadvantages. I don't know what the reward is going to be for hitting a certain number of cool points yet, but those are the types of things that will roll over from game to game, even as the partner that he's solving the case with changes, even as the board changes. We have these cool points that we're racking up for some unknown end. It's still a work in progress. So here are some things that I have to do to make this game a reality. One, I have to decide the types of categories of prompts that I want to have. I've thrown out a couple of ideas with myself before, like clues, evidence, paperwork or bureaucracy, etc., but I'm not fully sold on any of those and I need to work it out. And then I need to make prompts that can fit within those categories. I have a list of potential advantages for characters, but I need to solidify them, and I need to give lists of disadvantages for each of them as well. I need to figure out why cool points matter, and I need to figure out things like timeline. How long do I want a game to take usually? How many episodes am I going to split each game into, etc. One idea that I threw out that Bailey seems to like, that I really like, is the idea of cold cases. So those are unsolved cases, right? And so I'm thinking if I give myself, say, 2 months to crack a case, and I don't make it to the ending in time, then it becomes a cold case. So I take note of what the board looks like. I mean, it will be immortalized in the video that I make, right? But I'll make a note of what the board looks like at the time, clear the board, start the game over with a new case. But then I can have times when I go and try to solve cold cases. So I set up the board like it was, I go to where I was in the case or something, and I try to solve it. But there's also a punishment for not solving a case in the time frame, which would be that I like wipe all my cool points maybe, so cool points go back to 0 or something. So I need to finalize details on that too. The main thing I need is a huge list of prompts that fit different categories that I can think of that are fun, funny, etc. I also need to think of character names. Like, do I just keep their names? Do I change their names just slightly but in funny ways? For example, take all of the vowels and change them to O. So instead of Amy Santiago, it's Omi Sontogo. You know, Detective Omi Samson. Do I give them completely new names, related names? Instead of Amy, it's Anna? I don't know. These are all things I need to figure out, but we've at least got a first step down in which I have the basic premise of the game. So I'm excited. Let's get to making a game. Let's go get some supplies. I'm back with my purchases and I'm going to walk you through them and my ideas for them, and also talk to you about some updates I have, because I started making a big long list of like things and putting them in categories, not prompts yet, just things. For example, different types of clues that somebody might find in a case, especially in something like a police sitcom show, for instance. And so I think I've narrowed it down to five categories: clues, setbacks, drudgery, actions, and bonuses. That was slightly informed by my purchases and slightly informed my purchases. I knew that I needed things to make the little circles to go on the board, and also to make the prompt cards. Here's what my thinking was, because I had access to a Dollar Tree and a limited amount of money. My thinking went that I purchased index cards. I thought they were going to be more solid than they were, but it turns out they're the flimsiest index cards I've ever encountered. That's okay, it's better than nothing. So index cards as a base, and these are big ones, so the plan is to cut them in half, and then to separate them by categories, so like clues, setbacks, etc. I got some colored paper, and I had to narrow it down to 5 categories. I originally had 6 because there are 5 colors in this, and I got a ton of it, enough to cover the index cards that I got and to make the little circles for the board. And I also got a lot of tape, including all the double-sided tape I could find. That was only 2 rolls, so I also got some normal tape because I'm going to run out of double-sided tape, basically. And so here's the prototype. It doesn't look perfect. It's not going to be perfect. I'm not a crafting magician or anything, but basically here's what a card would look like, where it's a color on this side so that I know it's to represent like a clue, and then on the back I'd print out the prompt and stick that here, so that at the end of the day I'd have like a pile of clue cards. They'd be shuffled and the next prompt would be this one. So I think I'm happy with that idea. And then I also knew that I would need a game piece, and so I checked just to see, and I did manage to find some mini police officers. Originally, I was going to include a second game piece depending on whoever the partner is, but I don't think I'm going to do that now. And then just for fun and aesthetic purposes, I also got this mini police car. So I have the materials. What I really need to do next is actually come up with prompts to go with the different things. What prompt am I going to use for finding a footprint at the scene of the crime, etc. But one thing that I also have to consider is how difficult the prompts are, because as much as I love a simple prompt and would love for them just to all be simple prompts that could work for almost any book, I know that if I want a lot of prompts, that's just not going to be realistic. And then I also only have a limited number of things on the list. Like, I could only come up with a limited number of types of clues and such. So I thought what I could do is reuse things but give it a different prompt, except the rule for the prompt is that they're in tiered levels. So like if there are 3 cards for footprint evidence, then one would be the easiest of those prompts, and then a harder one and harder one. And the number of cool points that you get for completing the card is based on the difficulty of the prompt, is what I'm thinking. So those are the updates. I need to sit down and write out a long list of prompts and then start matching them up to things. Originally, it was going to be that like the prompt made sense with the thing. I don't think I'll be able to fully do that, but we'll see. I'll mess around with it and see what I can do. Hello, I just spent a ton of time trying to match up some prompts. Not all of them fit perfectly with the thing that they're going for, but a lot of them fit really well. Some examples of things I'm proud of are things like, for CCTV footage, read an adaptation. For a stakeout, a long book, or a book that's been around me for a long time, like a TBR veteran. For a building search, a house or building on the cover. For bounce ideas off of each other, poll pick, friend pick, things like that. I'm super excited. And then not all of them are bookish prompts. There are two main categories where there are non-bookish prompts. The first is in things like drudgery, where in things like red tape, I have things like complete every prompt between this spot and your last spot, or go back to the start of the board, right? Because red tape, it's hard to move forward, or broken copy, or do your last prompt again, which I think is funny. And then for my bonuses, not only are they worth more in general, but also there are some non-bookish ones, like under create the perfect backstory, add a doubling bonus to one of your past prompts. Because a backstory, it's back, it's behind you. When you see how the evidence fits together, you can double up 2 existing prompts from the episode. So like, some of them are really, really fun and I'm happy, and it's a really long list. I'd say, I don't know exactly how many I have, but the document's like 4.5 pages long. So that seems like plenty, at least for now. The nice thing is I can always go back and add more prompts later, but this seems like a sufficient starting point for prompts. Hello, I have been hard at work. I've run out of double-sided tape, but I have ordered more. I did want to stop in and talk to you about some names though, because I am changing their names. Bailey told me I should, but I wanted to keep the same vibe. And so I'm going to talk you through the names right now. And I'm about to tell you that the next bit that I'm about to do, going through these names and explaining why I chose them, is going to be a lot more interesting for people who know Brooklyn Nine-Nine. So you can skip ahead if you don't know it, but I needed to do this for me. Character name, Jake Peralta. My character name, Blake Pradera. A couple things. Last name starts with a P, Argentinian last name. Boom, did it. Also, same number of syllables. Moving on to Amy Santiago, we've got Jamie Soto. So again, it rhymes, Amy, Jamie, because I needed Jake and Amy to sound correct together. So Jake and Amy, Blake and Jamie. The most terrible knockoff ever. For Terry Jeffords, I've gone with Bobby Derrick. Bobby short for Robert, like Terry short for Terrence. I went with the double letter names, first and last. For Rosa Diaz, I've gone with Anna Cruz, an ending on the A for the first name and an ending with a Z on the second, from A to Z. Nailed it. For Gina Linetti, I've gone with Teresa Capaldi. Yeah, again, ends with an A and then an Italian sounding last name. Then we're moving on to Captain Raymond Holt, which I've turned into Captain Garmond Dubois. Holt, the last name, means something about trees, and so Dubois is French for of wood, from the forest, and so I tied it together. Same last name meaning, if you will. Then for Hitchcock, I said, that's a famous director's name. Who's another famous director? So I've got Kubrick. For Scully, I went for a silly sounding name that is an actual name, and I've landed with Geeth. Like teeth, but with a G. And then for Charles Boyle, I've gone with Frank Gopnik, because it had the same silly vibe. Frank short for Franklin. So those are the names I've picked. Hopefully they are sufficient. I think they're silly. And I'll update you more when I get more tape. The next step is playtesting. So I have everything that I need to play the game. Ignore what a mess my room is. And I've got to figure out how I'm gonna do filming, and also like basically how many books I get per round, so that I know like I can generally expect to break it up into 2 or not, and things like that. Maybe I'll try it first with a D6 and then see if I need to switch to something higher than that. That's the plan for right now. And I'm going to do a couple times through where I just make sure that the mechanics are working, figure out things like that, but I'm not actually going to pick books and read it. So that will be included in this video. And then my full actual playthrough where I'm picking books and stuff for the first time will be the 12 TBRs video that I'm making. So that's the plan. Okay, so this is the first playthrough to see what it's like. I've got everything set up, but before I put the spots on the board, I have to pick who Blake's partner is going to be for this playthrough, because some of the partners change which types of prompts go on the board or how they go on the board. So I've got to do that. We'll put Blake right here though, because he's definitely in the game. And this is my stack of character cards. I'm going to give them a nice little shuffle. And we're gonna go for this top card right here, and we get, oh no, this is the one I was hoping not to get, to be honest. Okay, we get Captain Dubois. So his advantage is that he's the commanding officer, so he can pull any one squad member into the case once per episode to use their advantage. But his disadvantage is additional red tape. So every time I pull out a pink prompt randomly from the bag, I have to immediately follow it with another pink prompt unless it's the last spot. So I won't actually pick books, but I'll decide at one point what advantage to use, basically. So again, any pink prompts I pull out of here, the next one also has to be pink. I'm not looking before I pick, I'm just going with a random one. Oh no, we're gonna have 4 pinks in a row. Okay, so this is the board that we're working with. For this playthrough, I'm gonna use a 6-sided die. So let's get to it. We'll start with an action, and we're going to go undercover. For +3 cool points, we'll read a translated book. 5. We've reached a dead end, so for 1 cool point, we're going to read a book that's been published since 2020. We're going to interview a witness. For +1 point, we'll read a book from first-person perspective. We'll interview another witness, and for +3 points, we'll read a historical fiction. We'll write up our case notes, so for +1 points, we'll read a Goodreads nominee or winner from any year. The captain disapproves of your decision, and since he's your partner, that's a big deal. So for +3 points, read a title that has an alliteration. Did I do this wrong? Yeah, I went the wrong way on the board. This is why we do playthroughs, and I should maybe include arrows in this, is what I'm learning. Great, so let's pretend that didn't happen. We'll put Blake back at the start. I don't care to reshuffle these cards, but we'll go. Let's do it correctly this time. How about, okay, let's try again. Okay, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's all right. Okay, he wants to sit right now. No, he doesn't. There we go. So we'll interview a witness and read that historical. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll make an entrance, and for +6 cool points, we'll read a debut. We'll do our case notes and read that Goodreads nominee or winner. The captain disapproves, so we'll read the title with the alliteration. 2, 1, 2. The copier is broken, so for +3 points, we'll do every prompt after this twice. Okay. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The copier is broken, so we have to redo the last prompt. But since the last prompt told us was an action prompt, instead I'm going to do the last prompt, which was a title that has an alliteration. And I guess because of the first broken copier, because of the first broken copier, I have to do it twice this time. And so I have to do this prompt 3 times in total, is what I think is happening. And then we end the case. So to review, we technically got a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 prompts, but because of the prompts that we got a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 books to read. Okay, interesting. Okay, so I have some ideas of how to use my cool points. I have a list of possible rewards with different costs, but also if you have any ideas for specific rewards, I would love to know. Like, that would be very helpful for me. And if you have an idea for a reward, how many cool points should it cost? So basically right now I have easy breezy case. In the next round, play only with 1 point prompts, which are the easier ones. That cost 50 cool points. For seek help, choose your partner for your next round at the cost of 25 points. Bring out the best in each other. Next round, partner doesn't have their disadvantage for a cost of 25 points. Get an extension. In any round, for 1 time per purchase, you can give yourself 3 months to solve the case instead of 2. For example, if I end up with a lot more prompts than usual, I can invoke this to save myself, and that is at a cost of 75 points. So I thought I would use the points to like make my job solving the case easier in the future. But yeah, any ideas would be great. And with that, I feel like I am done as one can definitively be when something is ongoing and ever growing. Make sure you watch the video where I actually play the full game for the first time. It's the last 12 TBRs this year, so I hope you enjoy it. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a big thumbs up and comment down below your reaction to the TBR game, my process behind making it, etc. Anything you like, any suggestions you have for the game or changing it in the future. And subscribe for more bookish and college lifestyle content. And until next time, bye humans, bye!